Unang-una, ano ba yung mga nakikita mong ano rito? Parang problema dito sa naging desisyon ng Korte Suprema?
Well, we were already warned last week of judicial overreach, no? And what happened when the Supreme Court decision came out in the case of Sara Duterte versus House, I don't think it's just a case of judicial overreach. Mas malala pa nga no? So it's already tantamount to judicial legislation. Judicial legislation happens when the courts, especially the Supreme Court, interprets the law in a way that it effectively amends or rewrites the Constitution or the laws. No? So very basic, first-year law students and political science students, right, first-year Pol Sayan, tinuturo yung separation of powers. And we all know, the judiciary is there to interpret, has the power to interpret. Legislative, basic, has the power to legislate. So the judiciary should not legislate, no? It can only interpret. That's why it has to use the deliberation of the framers, the intent of the lawmakers. It has to use the text of the law. Bound sila doon, limited sila yung power to interpret. Ngayon, political scientists, analysts, historians, professors of law, they have this term called judicial legislation. And this came before me, hindi ako yung nag-i-invent ng mga ganitong constructive criticism or critical thought about judicial overreach or judicial legislation. It happens when the interpretation tantamounts to effectively may mga nasingit, may mga nabago, may mga nalagay na wala naman doon sa text, wala naman sa intent ng framers or ng mga legislators, magiging batas because of course, we have to follow the courts, they are the final interpreter of the law, but they are not immune to criticism. And one of the criticisms that can be levied against courts, especially the Supreme Court, is when it interprets to the effect na nagkakaroon ng judicial legislation. So yun yung nangyari nung, in my opinion, in my humble opinion.
Okay, actually, marami rin nagbabanggit niya, no? Yung judicial overreach at saka, of course, yung legislation. Nagdagdag dun sa wala naman o hindi sinasabi ng ating konstitusyon. So perhaps ang tinutukoy mo rito ay yung additional layers of requirements when it comes to using one particular mode of impeaching a public official, no? Can you elaborate on that? Kasi wala naman yun sa konstitusyon natin eh.
So, the case of Sara Duterte versus House raises two issues basically, no? Kahit gawin natin very basic. First is yung one-year bar rule, yun yung isang issue. Second is yung sa due process. Doon muna tayo sa due process kasi dito related yung mas clear na may judicial legislation. We all know from history the Manny Villar impeachment route. Yeah. Ano yung Manny Villar impeachment route? Ako kasi lumaki ako sa panahon na yun, naabutan ko talaga. It was so electrifying to watch on television na Speaker Manny Villar had the balls or had the courage to transmit the impeachment complaint directly to the Senate as long as it met, because it already met the constitutional requirement of the 1/3 vote. So, basahin natin para clear yung judicial legislation na issue, no?
Attorney Jess, before you continue, idagdag ko lang yung kay Manny Villar doon sa mga hindi nakakaalala. Sabi mo electrifying yun. Dinaan niya yun sa dasal. Pagkatapos ng dasal, dire-diretso yung transmittal because the odds were so great within the House of Representatives. Diba nandun yung pressure ni Erap Estrada na presidente na napakalakas sa mga panahon na yon. So marami nagulat after prayer, dire-diretso na pa rin transmittal. Go ahead.
Yes, correctly. That was electrifying because madaming allies pa noon si Erap sa House, and it was not expected that the Speaker in the person of Manny Villar would transmit directly, which actually he did correctly according to the text and spirit of the Constitution. So Article 11, basahin natin, no? Section 3, Article 11, number 4, in case the verified complaint is filed by at least 1/3 of all the members of the House, at least so it can be more, which happened in the case of Sara Duterte, more than a majority signed the 4th impeachment complaint, the same shall constitute the articles of impeachment, and trial by the Senate shall forthwith proceed. So, itong sentence lang na ito, walang procedure nandyan. Automatic na ito na yung procedure ni layout ng Constitution in the event that the impeachment complaint is signed by at least 1/3, automatically, by operation of law or by operation of the Constitution, the same shall constitute as articles of impeachment. Bakit ko sinasabing by operation of law? Nasa Supreme Court decisions yan eh. ibig sabihin, there can be nothing in between. Automatic yan. By default, by operation of the Constitution, wala nang pwedeng sumingit. Basta napirmahan ng 1/3, it becomes the articles of impeachment. And ang sabi ng ng Constitution, not the Supreme Court, no? Sabi ng Constitution, and automatically, after ma-constitute yung articles of impeachment, trial by the Senate shall forthwith proceed. So, eto dito sa section na ito, nagkaroon ng judicial legislation because when the Supreme Court said that Sara Duterte was denied due process, dapat daw sa House pa lang nagkaroon ng opportunity to be heard ang ating Vice President. So let me clarify, no? Allow me to present some counterpoints to that. We all know due process is very important. That's why we are very much critical of the Dutertes because sila number one violator ng due process. Sa Davao pa lang, of course, nationally, nung Oplan Tokhang. But everyone is deserving of due process, even accused or impeachment respondents like the Vice President, and we will give them that. Does the Constitution deny them due process at the House level? No. So may two modes kasi ng initiating impeachment. The first, doon mas may due process in the traditional sense that the Supreme Court is discussing. Itong traditional sense, let's call it Christian na adversarial due process. Ang adversarial, may two sides, no? So you have to hear the accuser, the complainant, and the accused or the respondent. So may two sides yan, may judge or merong neutral, impartial person dapat na makikinig sa parehong sides and magdi-decide. That's adversarial. Is that the only type of due process in the world and even in the Philippines? No. We have another type called inquisitorial or mas gusto ngayon na term is non-adversarial. Ang non-adversarial, hindi mo kailangan magkaroon ng two sides because an inquisitor or yung nag-i-inquire can on his own gather the evidence. Now, will that be a deprivation of due process? Not necessarily when we talk about these articles of impeachment and the impeachment process. Why is that? Napakaganda nga ng design ng Constitution na medyo na mangle na because of the decision. Sa lower house, let's assume it's the lower house, the upper house, which is the Senate, ang lower house ang binibigyan ng inquisitorial due process on the second mode of initiating, which is yung automatic, the Manny-Villar route. Basta may 1/3 signature, direct transmittal to the Senate. Bakit walang adversarial doon? Because yung adversarial due process nasa Senate. The opportunity to be heard is in the trial sa Senate. That is where Sara Duterte or any respondent can rebut and present their own evidence. Ang mangyayari sa House is more a direct representation of the voice of the people. We should remember the House kasi is more local. Mas direct ang representation nila sa tao kaysa sa senators. Kaya nga, ganun yung design. Na if 1/3 of your local elected voice of the people, representatives of the people, nag-decide na mag-sign ng impeachment complaint, they already saw merit in the case to charge. Mag-accuse pa lang naman So to rebut those charges, that's in the Senate. So in summary, the judicial legislation here happens if you read the text of Article 11, Section 3, Number 4, wala dyan yung mga gustong ilagay ng Supreme Court because precisely the adversarial due process that the Leonen Ponente or decision wanted to give to Sara Duterte happens in the Senate, not in the House.
Kasi parang impression dito, yung the Supreme Court in its decision bent over backwards to actually accommodate Sara Duterte, the respondent, dito sa issue ng due process. At issue ng yun ang dating Kasi wala sa konstitusyon pero dinagdagan na requirements. The next question is, tama ba na applicable yung requirements na yan, which are very questionable to begin with, dito sa kaso ni Sara Duterte, gumugulong na impeachment process?
Yes. The Senate has already acquired jurisdiction. So hindi yun actually tinakil ng Supreme Court in its decision. Wala na siyang sinabi na, nung June nag-convene na, nag-oath taking na yung Senate as an impeachment court. Walang delicate balance or discussion yung ponente about the separation of powers and courtesy for the other co-equal branches of government. I have to clarify, kasi syempre madaming criticism na, bakit mo kinikriticize ang Supreme Court? Sila na yung Supreme, mas marunong yan, justices na yan. And they have the power to interpret with finality. Let's respect the rule of law. Of course, as a lawyer, I respect the rule of law, but we should remember wala tayong Supreme Court supremacy. We do not have a Supreme Court supremacy. Our republic follows constitutional supremacy because many people are forgetting even the Supreme Court is bound and below every government official from the barangay to the president to the Supreme Court to the Senate is below the Constitution. That is the doctrine we're following, doctrine of constitutional supremacy. So anything we're discussing, even if we're just criticizing the Supreme Court, there's nothing wrong with it because what we are following and trying to highlight is the supremacy of the Constitution. Baka naman nagkamali ang Supreme Court because tao lang naman din sila, tao lang ako. Di naman perfect ang aking opinion, but we are in a democracy. And I am granted the right to criticize the Supreme Court for future purposes na sana ma-avoid yung mga ganitong judicial overreach or judicial legislation.
Okay. Nabanggit mo yung, bago tayo mag-move on doon sa ibang issues dito, no? Nabanggit mo yung kritisismo. Kasi ito ngayon nakikita ko lalo yung mga supporters ng Vice Presidente. Yun nga, yung argument nila. O magtigil kayo kasi nagsalita na yung Supreme Court. Although madali naman basahin yung kanilang intention. Pero nandun din yung pananakot, di ba? Sinasabi nila, Supreme Court, gawin niya na ng action to mga katulad nila Jess Falsis, di ba, mga abogado na nakikriticize dito. Bilang isang abogado, hanggang saan ba yung hangganan ng pwede mong pag-criticize sa desisyon ng Korte Suprema? Kasi dito parang pati yung basic right mo to express your opinion na guaranteed sa ating Constitution, sa Bill of Rights, tinatakot.
Well, lawyers will always have to navigate that carefully, no? So even ako, hindi naman na wala akong takot, no? Ang katapangan naman, Christian, I'm sure like what you do, no? There are many threats, trolling, sa inbox mo siguro may mga, kasi ako syempre grabe ang inbox ko when it comes to death threats, insults, mga ad hominems, everything you can imagine, nakuha ko na, no? And lawyers have to navigate that carefully outside of the trolling pa because the Supreme Court itself, no, unfortunately, and I'm sure they're very well aware of this because Justice Leonen himself was a dean of UP Law. When he was the dean of UP Law, alam mo ba, I'm sure you know naman, no? But for the viewers, he was a critic of the Supreme Court in 2010, 2011. Alam na alam ko yan, Christian, kasi law student ako noon under the term of Dean Justice Leonen. Nagsulat sila ng manifesto or ng parang statement, UP Law statement, criticizing the Supreme Court for plagiarism. In the case of Binoya versus Executive Secretary against Justice Del Castillo, Shinokos order sila. They were made to explain why their statements were not contemptuous. And yun yung background ngayon sa mga critics like me. Siyempre, alam din naman ng mga tao, ako napagalitan ako quote-unquote nung same-sex marriage case, which I have many explanations but that's not the time to explain now, no? Meron akong sariling perspective on that. But of course, someone na pinagalitan noon, syempre ingat din ako mag-criticize ng court, especially Justice Leonen is still there. But as a Filipino, hindi ko talaga mapigilan. Hindi ko naman mapigilan na hindi pwedeng mag-comment on the constitutional supremacy. I'm just asserting that the Constitution is higher and that the Constitution is not being followed even by the Supreme Court. May I remind my critics, so yung mga gusto mag-silence sa mga tulad ko, no? I'm a Filipino first. Facts first, di ba? I'm a Filipino first before I'm a lawyer. But of course, as a lawyer, I'm an officer of the court. I will always promote administration of justice. I will always promote respect for the rule of law and respect for the courts. And part of that respect for the courts is promoting respect for the Constitution. So as a Filipino first, ang loyalty ko is to the Constitution first, not and to the Filipino people, and not to the Supreme Court or the court per se. So sana maintindihan nila, but as you have said, there are moves to file petitions for contempt against people like me. Sana hindi ako yung mauna kasi sabi ni Topacio, mukhang ako yata yung pinakaunang sasampahan nila. Sana lang hindi ako yung mauna. Kasi ang dami namang iba dyan lawyers, even former justices who have criticized the Supreme Court like me. So I hope I'm not the first.
Tsaka ang problema rito, parang magkakaroon ng chilling effect yan. Ibig sabihin, bawal na palang magsabi ng opinion doon sa desisyon ng Supreme Court, na of course, irerespeto naman yan dahil sila yung final interpreter ng ating konstitusyon. Pero kung may nakikita ka talagang blatant na pagkakamali dun sa basihan, na sa tingin mo, yun nga, di ba? Paano ba naman yun? Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin yun publicly. Parang may pagka-dictatorial naman kung gano'n ang mangyayaring sitwasyon, di ba?
Very fascist kasi nga ito si Attorney Topacio, attorney to and is promoting chilling effect like that. May Nazi painting kasi siya, di ba? May painting siya ni Hitler sa likod ng office niya. So may pagkapasista yung ganong galaw dahil in a healthy democracy, even lawyers and normal people, let's remember, the Constitution is a political document. It's not a legal document. Yun yung masama din sa decision ng Supreme Court in the case of Sara Duterte versus House. Hindi ko na-mention kanina, one of the rulings of the Leonen Ponente is to say that impeachment is more a legal than a political proceeding, which I think, in my humble opinion, with all due respect, is wrong because the Constitution, first and foremost, is a political document, specifically the Article 11 on public accountability of public officers. That is where the people have a mechanism to hold public officers accountable. So it's a really political article, yung Article 11. More than a legal proceeding, more than a legal document, it's a political proceeding kasi nga House and Senate ang binigyan ng sole power, not the judiciary. So that's where it's wrong. And also maybe Attorney Topacio, when he says critics like me and non-lawyers daw should not comment because wala naman daw silang alam sa batas, like Attorney Sal Panelo din, hindi daw alam ng mga lawyers. Pag hindi ka lawyer, wala ka namang kasi hindi mo naman alam ganun. But any person can read, who can read and write, can read the Constitution. So they should be able to comment on it. Kasi citizen sila, botante sila. They're part of the democracy that the Constitution empowers.